Alright, y'all, welcome back to part 2, where we're exploring these heavy shadows, this high contrast ink work. Again, we was looking at Jock, Mike Magnola, Jung Gi, Matteo, I forgot his last name, Bram Revel, and some other stuff. Of course, there's a lot of other artists out there that are pretty good at doing what we're looking at, but I didn't have the time to just go through every artist and figure that out. So here's what we're going to do. I printed out some of these are kind of like my style guides in a way. They're going to be kind of out of frame. I've got a bunch of paper here. This is Bristol. I've got some Arches hot press, and then this is Canson watercolor paper. You know, that XL, I think it's like blue. You know, you can get it pretty much everywhere. These are the papers we're going to be doing some studies on. I've got all the books right beside me. I've got something we're going to work on a little bit later. But before we get into that, see, I'll put this right here so you guys can see it. I want to talk about what this 2-week fundamental idea actually is. So part 1 was kind of the introduction to the concept that I'm trying to get better at. Right? So I want to get better at using strong shadows, using these bold black marks, and yeah, that's pretty much it for now, right? I'm keeping it bite-sized, kind of easy digestible chunks, and I'll study it for 2 weeks. How it works is for the first day, it depends on what I'm doing, but for this one, I'm going to do a drawing of Stan here. Stan is my antagonist for a book that I'm working on called Toilet Paper Trash. It's a very wild book, and Stan is very wild. But basically, as you can see, I've already tried using heavy shadows, right? It's not quite working, right? This is a cool pose. But maybe it's too much texture in some areas, right? Simplifying it, right? Look at Jock. I look at him a lot for that abstract texture marks, right? So he has a big solid area of black. Perhaps I needed that somewhere, right? This is just a sketch, kind of just working out, feeling out the character, feeling his vibe. So after I do some studies, we're going to pose him out and utilize what we've learned today to hopefully make a good drawing of him. And that's how I'm going to start this 2-week fundamental idea. And that's today. But for the next 2 weeks, the rest of the days, right? The next 13 days, I guess I should say 12, because that last day we're doing something special. But for the next days, I'll be doing bite-sized studies where it's maybe 30-minute here, an hour here, whatever, right? I'm not going to focus an entire studio day on this concept, but I will be focusing on the concept every day. So there's that. I won't be recording the process of every single day, because sometimes I'm sketching I work at Raising Cane's, and I'll draw on my lunch break. Right, and like recording that's going to be way too hard. I'm sorry. So I'll show you all the stuff I've done on that third video, as well as what we're going to do on the last day is we're going to redo Stan, but apply all the things we learned throughout the next 2 weeks. Right, so what we're doing is we'll have kind of initial learning, right? The first big day, and then the last big day will be where we're at. So it'll be a good way to judge, right? Like, have I actually learned anything? Right? My goal is to hopefully learn some of this, right? So that's what we're going to be doing. All right. So to start, here, let me get myself situated here. All right. So the main reason why I have all these different types of paper is for the texture of the actual paper, right? So these two pure whites right here, these are Bristol, Arches Hot Press, Canton Watercolor. The one with the most texture is this Canton Watercolor. And why I pulled them out is because, so look at this, right? So from Mike's work, this is a different format that I printed this out for me. Sorry, y'all. But for Mike's work, right here, Mike Magnola, it's all smooth, right? He was able to get these smooth black, very little like whites poking through it. Jung Gi, I feel like he uses a smoother paper as well, or he used, RIP. Sorry, just got sad for a moment. I wanted to meet that man and I never could. Why am I forgetting his name right now? Jock. Jock, I know, will use textured paper, not textured paper. He'll use traditional and digital, so it's a little hard to figure him out. Jim Lee, of course, uses Bristol. Why am I forgetting his name right now? They did the Black Science. Hold on, let me pull out the book. They did this, Matteo, Scalera. New artist to me, but has been working in the comic book industry for a very long time. And I'm a little mad at myself for just now finding out about him, but I'm also happy that I just now found out about him. All right, so what we're going to do, I'm going to use some of this Canton watercolor paper first. I feel like it's going to add some interest. So one side's kind of smoother and one side is a little bit more textury. I'm going to go with this slightly smoother, but it still has texture. Of course, you can't really see too well. My camera is decent, but it can't quite pick up this texture. All right, one moment while I get adjusted. Alright, so I showed you some stuff from this. Let's go back to it. It's kind of in the beginning here, right? Like, I really love how he treated these like fish people. They look really dope. And the colors just worked wonders in here. So we're gonna clip this down. So that way I can kind of study it too as good as I can. All right, we're back. All right, so I could go straight in with the pen. And I may do that later, but I haven't drawn today, so I'm just going to use a pencil at first. Alright, so I need to actually move up a little bit. Alright, so again, I don't know which one I want to draw because I really like that guy. But I might have to like lean into the camera to actually see all of that crap. But this guy, his pose is so cool. So we're just gonna draw him. Alright, okay. Alright. So what, he's got 3 little fins right here. It's kind of like a hood. Alright. Feels like a hood, though it's actually his face. But it comes out like a hood. Alright. What I'm trying to think about right now, right, I'm just trying to make it as accurate as possible. Right, and some way to do that is looking at the negative space. Alright, so did I make this as tight as it needs to be? I don't think so. Alright, that's a little bit better. Ooh, I like how you come down to a point right here. That's pretty cool. Alright. It actually gets skinnier than I even put right there. Yeah. There we go. That's why I'm using a pencil at first, because as you can see, I'm a little off on everything right now. So this side needs to be a little bit bigger, right? Because what his head could fit inside of his belly. So that's what we need to happen right here. Right, you're basically, right, this is a little bit lower, right? So if your hand's right here, right, you're going to come down to about right here, right? At the moment, I'm not trying to get like an exact thing. I'm more worried about just the placement of the shadows and how they dealt with it. So I have a plethora of options to ink this, but I want to use this. Oh, I just bumped the camera with my head. Okay, it looks good. It's called the Pentel FR. I'm sure there's like an actual name for it. I can't quite remember. This is a new one. You saw me pull out one that had some red on it earlier. That was my old one, and the tip has blunted on it. So I got a new one. With these, you always want to make sure you get the ink running a little bit. It just takes a second. Alright, so I think I'm gonna go with this belly first, get this roundness, right? And he feathers kind of sharply, so I'm assuming I could go like this. We'll come in to cut some of that feathering other way. Probably not the same. Alright, do it like that. Make it bold. And then I can probably just feather it out a little bit. Am I trying to draw every single line exactly? No. Should I try to? Yes. But it's okay. We're going to do a couple of these. So I like that mark right there under. I'm guessing this is the rib cage. That's what it feels like to me. A fish cage. But regardless, okay. So I did one study, right? And we're going to make sure we write the artist's name down, right? So Matteo Scalera. I want to assume I'm saying that properly. I'll just write Matteo. Matteo. Alright. Let's see, is there anything on this page I want to draw? We're just going to flip through. I got to be careful in some areas because he does show like, he doesn't show nudity, but he shows like close to it. But like, look right here, right? Like this is cool, right? I could do a small one of this. He pretty much silhouetted almost the entirety of everything. Now this would, I feel like this will really only work in a comic setting, right? Like if that's just your illustration, let's say you're doing a job for somebody, like give me somebody running, you'll probably have to show some more in there. But for a comic, fire, beautiful, and I'm gonna draw it. Alright, so I'll just move you over. I can hold this. I'm just gonna go straight in. Alright, this might be a bad idea, or it might work pretty well. I don't know. We're gonna build this head. Alright. This, 2 lines. It's a little bit more eggy shaped. Alright, we'll build in that slowly. This is an important part to really get down right here. Just this little sliver of this nose. Alright. I made it bigger on purpose because if I accidentally cut into it a little bit more, which happens quite frequently, I can I have a little bit of wiggle room. Alright. I like these little marks right here in the shoulder blade. They kind of feel textury. I could almost do like that and get it. Boom. I made you way too thick, but it's okay. Alright, I can kind of do that again. Right, you get these little texture edges on this watercolor paper, right? You can kind of, if I had a bigger surface area, I could do that easier. But since I'm drawing it so tiny, I can't get that full arm flick in, and I haven't quite mastered the wrist flick. That one's a little bit harder. Well, let's talk about this comic book that I'm studying from. This is Black Science. From what I've understand, I believe it came out in 2014. Something like that. And they just finished it in 19 or 20. So it's been going on for quite a while. And I picked up this first issue, this first volume at a, what are you called? Half-priced bookstore. And it was only $3, and I didn't really think much of it. I flipped through randomly, saw those fish people, and I'm like, yeah, I'll just get it. It's only $3, whatever. And now I'm getting ready to buy the compendium. It is $40 for the whole thing. Alright, I'm gonna cut into this nose now. It's like a little sliver. Yeah, see? But I need it to line up a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, I picked it up and I read it all. Read the whole thing in like 2 days, I think. And I am so pleased that I picked this book up. I like the story, though sometimes I don't quite understand everything. It's a complex story, but it's cool because they're basically like traveling all these different worlds, and each, like, I don't want to say, pretty much each chapter, they're kind of going to a different dimension. This guy I'm drawing right now, oh crap, what's his name? I don't remember his name. But he made this little device that can travel through dimensions, and right when they finished it, somebody broke it, and now they're like randomly traveling through the dimensions, and that gives like such a easy narrative type of thing, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna send them to this world, I'm gonna make them do this now, right? And that's pretty cool, because it's like, okay, we don't have to stay in one place too long, right? If I really like the idea that I came up with for this, we'll stay here for a while. And that's what I like. So far, they haven't stayed in a place too long. And so many people die. I won't like talk about everybody who dies, but there's quite a few people who die pretty much immediately. And then some of the people we've grown to like enjoy die. The writer is definitely willing to kill off his characters for the sake of story. But I think what I like the most about it is this art, right? Matteo's a beautiful penciler, inker, whatever the new modern term for him is. I think they said artist, and then they called Dean, what was his name, Dean White? Dean White, the color artist, which is colorist, right? That term hasn't changed. But the pencil and inking stage has definitely changed via digital media, which to a degree is cool, right? But in a way, it's also like, okay, now whoever was just an inker is going to have a harder time finding a gig if they're not that great at like composing the whole page, you know? So there's pros and cons to everything. But the art in here is dope. I like it. So I've kind of captured this pretty decent. I need to get this leg in here. I haven't talked about it really at all. I mean, there's not too much to talk about. It's a dude running. But really cool. Alright, now this area feels different than this area. I feel like I made it a little thicker, and it might also be this, right? Bring up, feather you a little bit more, right? We'll clean up some of this stuff. Sketching straight with the pen is fun. Once you get the hang of it. For me, the hard part is like sketching straight from my brain with a brush pen. Can't do that quite as much. A little bit more difficult. Alright, so that's Matteo as well, Alright. So, what I've learned so far about these is you can put almost the whole body in darkness. I think this area I kind of missed something. Right, I feel like it just doesn't feel as dialed in. And perhaps, what did I miss? I don't know. That's the hard part when doing these live. Maybe it's silhouette, right? Clearing up some of these spots around it. Oh, I know one thing. I missed kind of these balls coming out. I know I had them at one point, and then I just accidentally inked over them. But this can be a push and pull process, right? We can use this gel pen to go in and pick out some areas. And again, I need a better jelly roll. I feel like they're also hit or miss. It's very inconsistent, and that is annoying that it's inconsistent. I've had some that were flawless, and I've had some that were very flawed. Okay, that's pretty decent, right? Like, I captured it overall. This arm looks so funky. Why is that? Did I mess up the shape? Right, I'll follow that contour. Follow this little ball thing. Oh, maybe that's it. I missed that little line right there. The overlapping of the arm. Okay. Alright. Do I want to do more? From Matteo. Right, look at these frog guys. I saw this and I was like, I need this comic. Like, I need it. I'm looking for something a little bit smaller, maybe a smaller part to draw, because I don't want to fill up this entire page of just Matteo. I don't know, I might just move on. Yeah. Matter of fact, this was the exact scene that I saw where I was like, yeah, I'm buying this book. Cause dude, it's fish people riding land moray eels that have like plant crap on them. It's amazing. It's like, what? I could do that head, right? Getting that white, traditionally, it's gonna be very hard. So what I might do, I'll just ink in this entire area and pull it out with the jelly roll. Alright, so I want to do that. I kind of want you like right here. Alright, so if I want that right there, let's get, sometimes you just need to get it flowing again. I may have ran out of ink already. You just squeeze to get more ink. I found that I'll utilize the dry ink stage, and then you can put more ink back in it when you're ready to get those clean ink lines. It's pretty cool, kind of paying attention to your material and utilizing where it's at, right? Like with a pencil, once it gets blunt, right, it's not sharp anymore. What can you do with that blunt before you go sharpen it? Right, those are things I did not think about for a long time. I'm starting to think about them more and more as I go, because I like to work traditionally. Therefore, I need to kind of become one with my material, with my tools. Let's see if I can get this circle right. I think I placed it. It's kind of close. The moray eels are cool. If you guys don't know much about them, well, first off, they got kind of like these glass teeth. They're like really jagged, and they're irregular in shape, and they have this really smooth skin. Basically they live in the coral, and they'll hunt in the coral, and it has been documented now that they will team up with, I believe it's grouper fish, some type of fish, and they will hunt together. And just the idea of a fish and a giant eel hunting together is freaking dope. And here's a fish and an eel hunting together. But yeah, in the real world, that stuff happens. That's crazy. Like, how did that relationship even happen? How did they? Oh, I inked that part. Okay. Wasn't paying attention. It's starting to get a little big here. I'm just going to kind of get maybe just down to here. Alright, so I got it here. But that's not the only case of animals pairing up. You know, if you're into animals, you know it happens quite a bit. I think the coolest thing is the crow or the corvid. I can't remember if it's a crow or a raven. I confuse them all the time. But a crow will pair up with a wolf pup at a young age, and then they'll slowly develop this friendship, and they can start hunting together. Basically, the crow will act like a helicopter and stay above the prey, so that if it gets out of the wolf sight, they can still see it. I think these are just like thin contour lines, kind of depicting this form a little. Right, like right in here. I like how Dean White decided to contour with that color. Or not contour, do the hatching lines with that color. That's how you know that's a good colorist right there. Alright, so these are all kind of just thin hatching lines. I don't want to do too many, right, because there's not really a lot. Okay, kind of a long straight. This is like a deep cut. Okay. Boom. Alright, let's get to the money maker. Right, the mouth. I'm just going to ink the whole thing and then do the teeth with the jelly roll. It's going to make it a little bit easier. With this line, boom, here. I don't know if you guys like me dropping animal facts on you while I'm drawing sci-fi animals, but I've got quite a bit of them. I can keep going. I started my journey as a creature designer. Right, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in the video game industry, make concept art, work on games, movies, whatever. And that's not necessarily the goal anymore, because I found more of a love of doing stories or doing illustrative work, right? Think more, if you know more about the art side of like video games and stuff, think of like splash illustrations. I dig that. I dig my own merchandise stuff, right? Like you see all my shirts. But the main thing is, sorry, I'm trying to get this pin going. Freaking pin. The main thing is doing comics, basically. I guess you would consider a lot of my work more graphic novel based. But my current project I'm working on, Toilet Paper Trash, is definitely a comic, but it's just gonna be thicker, right? So those are typically called graphic novels. What, I made this eye, I didn't place it right. He kind of looks messed up. What, I messed this line up right here, right? And this is funny, his little butt chin. I didn't even pay attention to that when I was first doing it. Alright, so from what I've gathered so far, right, if you want to use really dark shadows and kind of use the connecting the shadow method, it's really about kind of the story element of it in a way, right? Like, he's running, we don't care about the leg, we don't even care about that arm. What matters from this drawing was this little device that he had and the fact that he's running, right? Here, the fish guy felt like Matteo wanted to make him look cool, right? Wanted to make him look intimidating. So hiding that face, having those eyes glowing from the shadows, kind of using more of a spikier hatching, I guess you could call it. That sets the tone, right? So that's what I'm getting so far. We're gonna flip the script. We're gonna look at Brahm Revel, Gorillas. This art is really cool. It's kind of simplified in a way, I guess you could say. This kind of reminds me of like older style comics where they kind of kept everything as simple as possible, right? Not saying that in a negative term, because I love this book. But you can see he doesn't use a lot of heavy shadows. Like, he will, right? Like, what, that building right there, or bunker, completely shadowed out. Just the silhouette of these guys, right? Even just guys all white, right? That's kind of what we're looking at in his work, is kind of the balance of these things, right? Because most of it is this gray tone, right? It's a lot of gray on gray. But in some cases, where are you? I'm almost there. Sorry, y'all. I didn't put a bookmark in there. I probably should have. Almost there. Yeah, so this is the one I showed in part 1, right? I don't remember everybody's name. Alright, I'm pretty sure the smallest ape, his name is Goblin. The guy with the scar, that's Goliath, he's the leader. Medic, I think he's just called Medic, I think. Right, and no, he's not. He's on the cover of some of the things, right? But what we're going to study is basically the clean silhouetting of Goliath right here. Right, like, that's really cool. I really like it. It's kind of similar to Matteo's work in a way, but I feel like this is I feel like for Bram, it's really, let's move you a little bit higher. Well, I don't think I actually want you right there. His work is, very reminiscent of, at least in this book, in some cases, it's reminiscent of Mike Magnola. But in a lot of cases, it's more, I don't know what to call it, right? Like, look at this, right? That's the only way I can kind of think about it in my head is old school comic inking, right? But with modern twists. Bram went on to do Jenica. She is the 5th turtle of the Ninja Turtles. He's done quite a bunch of like mini series with her. My favorite one, it's called Monsters. We're not really looking at that one right now because he doesn't use a lot of heavy shadows in there. So we're not going to look at that one, at least in this 2-week fundamental session. How do I want to do this? Because I'm kind of flat. I might do it like this, and I'll move this over a little so you guys can see this a little bit better. Alright, so again, I'm drawing Goliath, this chimp right here in the middle. He's going to kind of take up this area. And I'm going straight in with the pen. We'll see how it goes. Right? I think I want to start with the head. Right? Notice it's very blocky. Right? And the ears. And I think with this one I might do all the shadowing work after I get the sketch. Oh, so what I'm noticing immediately while I'm drawing it is all the rounded surfaces are a little bit more angular. Right, think who does it? Blizzard does it a lot. All their artists kind of have that style of blockiness, I guess you could say. It's coming in a little bit here, not a lot. I don't think anybody would look at this and say Blizzard. Only my weird ass. But I just see similar thinkings and at least the approach to the silhouettes, right? Or the approach to doing specific things. And perhaps that's an older comic style way of doing it, right? Yes, everything I've brought to you guys for this is comic based. I guess besides Jung Gi, he's not necessarily. I think he did some mangas or something like that. I don't really know him from that. Of course I know him from those workshops that he would do where he's just doing the beautiful masterpiece live. But regardless, everything I brought is basically comic based, and I am going that direction. But my knowledge in the history of comics is not that strong yet. Right? I know a lot more about illustration and the history of illustration. Because that was my major in school. That's what I was doing in school. I went for illustration with a focus on game design, and that's what I did the whole time. I did make, hold on, I'm getting confused here. I need to black these out. I think I made this all a little too small. It's okay. We're going to roll with it. Alright. He's going to look more bearish, I guess you could say. More like a bear. Yeah, I focus more on concept art and just learning how to paint and stuff like that. And I'm still trying to learn all that crap. It's just so much. Like, I love it. I love the fact that I've been doing this since I was 23. I'm 29 now, and I'm still continuously learning. And the fact that I will always be learning. That's kind of the path of an artist, is you're always learning. Right now, my pen is running. Sometimes the ink will get a little too like saturated. It'll get the brush a little too wet, and you gotta rub it off. I mean, or you could use it, but I'm not using it on this guy, at least where I'm at right now. Alright, so sorry about that, y'all. Need to do a little time lapse because this video is going to be really long. My initial goal was 30 minutes, but I think it might become 2 videos. We'll see, because I still want to do so what I did, 3 Matteo, 1 Bram. I still want to do like look at Jim Lee and Jock, so there's still 2 other artists I want to look at. Right, and Mike, I got his book too. So this video is gonna be a little bit longer than expected, but it's fine. It's for me to deal with, and y'all to find out what happens. Alright, so this is oh, you can't see it because they went dark gray on black, but basically this is the Art of Jock book. Right, like there's cool stuff like this guy right here. This book's really cool because like this is just like a transparent sheet. And they do that stuff. The book publisher did this for a lot of the stuff in here. Alright, one thing I like about him is dude goes crazy with texture. Alright, like you see these strong black shadows, and then there's some like ink splatter texture. There's, of course, you see the halftones, more brushy texture, and he'll let it overflow as well, which I enjoy. Oh, we're just looking at this. Yeah, I had the ink of it, but this is the full color. Okay, so we could see how that turned out. Looks dope. I don't know what I want to sketch from here. I want to sketch something. I might do him. I don't know. There's a whole book here. Right, there's so much stuff. It gets more into like movies and posters in the back. There's even some like character design. I want to look at some. Oh, this is a cool page, y'all. If you haven't seen Shaun of the Dead, you should definitely go watch it. It's a fun zombie movie. I didn't realize it was considered a rom-com. I don't really remember too much of the romance in it. Oh, these heads are cool. I might do these heads. I might do one of these, right? And what I want to do this time, we're going to use a pencil again. Because as you can see what happened with Goliath here, the Bram Revel chimp, I messed up a lot of the proportions, right? I still captured like the essence of it, but I think his head was a little bit bigger. So, which one to do? Comment down below which one you think I'm gonna pick. Alright, I don't know all these with Scarecrow, Bane, Joker, Two-Face. I don't know who you are. Are you Catgirl? The only Catgirl stuff I've seen, y'all are probably gonna hate me, is wasn't it Halle Berry that did the movie? It's the only Catgirl I've seen. I think I'm just gonna do the Joker, right? So if you commented Joker, you're correct. Alright, so this was the Joker. I feel like I angled his face a little weird, and I feel like a lot of that is because of the way I'm sitting, but it's probably also skill. I don't know. Who knows with these things? Alright, so I'm actually going to skip over some of the other stuff, and we're going to go to this guy. And what I'm excited about with this book is he didn't ink it, but we all know how Mike Magnola, his finished, comic art looks, right? So you can see he plans that even here, right? The whole shadow from the waist to the torso to the arm, connecting into the neck and the head and the hair, right? It's crazy. Now, do I know what I want to draw from here? No, not at all. But I will figure that out. Alright, I'm gonna go with this one. Alright. I mean, it could be that. I could have chose a Hellboy. I mean, at the end of the day, this is my book, so I have it, and I can just draw whatever I want from here, whenever I please. So, I please to draw this cowboy with this stuff. Alright, so I've kind of run out of room here. So, let's try this on, try it on arches. We're going to do it slightly bigger than the rest, right? The rest are probably about 2 to 3 inches tall. This one, I'm going to almost do direct translation over. Alright. And since let's see, do I like that? I might have to move you around a little bit. That's a little bit better. So, since I see he uses pencil first, right, and I know later on he would just ink it. That's how I'm going to do it, right? Pencil, then ink. Now, should I go as far as to plan out the shadows like he did? I should, but will I? I don't know. We'll find out. Alright. get up in here. Now I will have to keep an eye on my camera. Because for some reason one of my batteries doesn't charge all the way. And I just had to switch batteries. And this one could die at any moment. So I'm going to be a little distracted. I'm going to let it time lapse though. So we'll see what happens. Alright, y'all, we're back. Okay. So, had to time lapse that. You know, video getting way too big. Okay. But this is my drawing. But now I need to figure out how I want to ink it, right? So I did pretty much copy the shadowing work Mike's already laid out. But I'm interested on how I should approach some of the other areas, right? So if we look at like his work, oh, that's way too tiny for you to see. But basically, I'm looking at his other works and trying to understand how he would go about inking this, right? Like, of course, it's going to be very, very close to this, right? He laid it out like this for a reason. But I guess what I'm more interested in is like, how am I leaving this shirt white? Probably. Because if that was all black, along with all the shadow, the shirt would kind of get lost. I don't know. We'll just see. We're just going to go in. All right. And again, if we remember from part 1 with Mike's work, he very rarely does any feathering. He'll more of taper the shadow. Does this have an example? I can't move it up close to you because the lights, but he doesn't feather too much. It all will taper into kind of a shape. Yeah. So we're gonna do that. All right. One thing I was interested in is how I'm gonna approach this eye right here. All right. He left this white spot here, but I'm thinking probably leave a little piece up top. All right. So I can go boom, 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 boom. All right. Color ink you in, but we'll leave a little white spot right there and right here, kind of crossing into these shadows. Right, and that'll probably help that stick out some more. Right. And he probably would approach his nose a little bit different if he was fully inking it, I would assume. But I don't quite know how he would go about it. So with that, I'm just gonna boop. Right, and then we're going right up into there. Beautiful part right here. We're going to do the whole hat. Basically like this, right? I'll probably break up a little bit, maybe not like that. Right. But that whole inside is getting just darkened. I feel myself rushing a little bit. There's no reason to rush. Probably, I need to take a break. That's probably what it is. I gotta organize my studio days basically in 2 parts, right? So, as you're probably aware at this point, I have a son. He's 3-year-old. His name's Lucas. And the days I'm not at Cane's, I'm basically a stay-at-home dad during the day, artist by night. And that means, I'm up all day, cleaning with him, taking care of him, doing stuff that needs to be done. And then, once my wife gets home, I'll spend a couple hours with her. Then we go into the studio. I'll probably wrap you right there. That way the shadow is connected. Then it's right in the studio until about bedtime. I'll go out there with him, get him to bed. And then back in the studio, usually from like 10, we'll say 11 to about 3-4 in the morning. Then me and Luke wake up pretty early. I do let him sleep a little bit longer because since I'm up till 4 every night, I need some rest, But yeah, it'd be tiring, so sometimes I'll be rushing, and that's not the way to go about it. I need to take it slow. Alright? I feel like in our life we're all just trying to rush. And that's kind of what the world has taught us to do at this point. But I found if you take it slow, you just get to enjoy everything so much more. Right, okay, well, I may or may not have recorded all of that. I will be finding out later. It's a little frustrating, but it is what it is. Well, regardless, here's where I've ended up on this piece. Right, this study of Mike Magnola's pencil work into me trying to ink it. I don't know, I had to make my own decisions with it, which is pretty cool. That's why I was really interested in getting this book, because I knew when I studied it, if I wanted to ink it, I would have to make my own decisions, because this isn't the final. This is his pencil, and even at his level, I'm sure there would be slight changes he would make in the inking process, right? I'm sure there would be just some slight changes. The whole thing's there, but he probably would have done something different with his nose. I don't know, done something different somewhere, would have changed a little bit. Alright. The only thing I'm not vibing with is this line right there. Okay, so we'll just put Mike. Right, Mike. Alright, so we have now studied 1, 2, 3, 4 artists. There were a couple people on my initial thing that I did not study from, but I'm running out of time for my studio time tonight. So, we're going to move on to the next part. Alright, so now is the second part of the day. So I spent, all this time studying, basically copying these guys' work, right? These guys that are far better than me. Trying to learn from them, right? They're basically my professors right now, but it's like a weird game of figure it out, because I'm only gonna be able to learn so much from, studying. So the next step is comparing. So we got Stan. He's kind of hidden in the shadows on the camera. Let me show you him one more time. So Stan is my character for my graphic novel, Toilet Paper Trash. Not much about... I have not mentioned much about Toilet Paper Trash at this moment. And it's still very much in the rough stages of things. But I figured it would be cool to draw him right now. So we're going to do it. Okay. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw him in with the idea that I'm going to be inking him in some capacity of how I just studied things, right? So this is where you got to switch gears, right? When studying is more like, okay, what looks cool to me, right? What do I think looks cool? Let me draw it. You didn't have to think too much about what they are doing, right? Are they running? Are they about to attack? Are they looking imposing? Are they looking happy? Are they chilling? Like, what are they doing? Right? You don't have to think about that when you're doing a master copy. You just have to do the copy. So that's the importance of this next step, is now we're going to draw, Stan, try to think about these things, and try to adapt this different way of inking. Right? So I'm going to start very loose right now. There's no initial plan. Hold on, I dropped my pen. Alright. This is my favorite pencil, by the way. Perhaps it's more for nostalgic reasons. Pretty much everybody at my school, Columbus College of Art and Design, we all were forced to buy these pencils for perspective class. So when I see it and hold it, it kind of brings me back a little bit. Okay. But yeah, I mainly just like it because it's easy to sharpen. Right, that sharpener, I just zoop, 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 zoop. Easy. Boom. I don't have to twist. I just do it. And yeah, you can change out the lead. You can change out the hardness or softness of the lead, the color of the lead. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Alright, so drawing Stan here. Right now I'm thinking something more solid, imposing, right? Kind of using this drapery. Maybe it's like Spawn, Todd McFarlane-esque in a way, right? He's my character, so I can do whatever the hell I want with him. If I want to like change his outfit a little bit, I can change his outfit. Right, because he is not narrowed down at all, as you can tell by my concept sheet. I'm just trying to, I want to get this, I want him to feel a little bit more angular. Right. Starting off very loose, right? Gestural in a way. Right, if you don't do gesture studies, gesture drawings, you probably should. I do them a lot when I'm like at the doctor's or at Cane's, wherever I'm at, right? Kind of just trying to quickly draw people as they're moving. Alright, so is this proportion Stan? No, he's a little bit taller. Alright, so we're just gonna make him a little bit taller. Alright, and I've kind of already figured out where everything is. We're kind of like this side view. Alright, of course, with his cylindrical face, there's not really a great side view there, face-wise, but action-wise, right, like I can flow it out. Now, they're starting to get too many lines on the page. So what I'm going to do is just pop out this here kneaded eraser. And I'm just going to I'm not necessarily intending on erasing specific things, and I'm not really trying to protect specific things either. I'm just trying to lighten up the lines, right? Drop the opacity for you digital folks out there. So if I make this leg straight, I should probably make this one, I could do straight, but that would be boring, right? That would be boring, and that's not really on vibe with Stan. The idea is he's kind of cuckoo. He's lost his marbles a little bit. So we could do like this leaning shot, right? So like kind of going in, and that would, right, if I'm push you back a little bit, right, almost like the Matrix, like slow-mo. Alright, I want to get this sword in here. It's going to be dope. Alright, so I'm kind of channeling what I'm thinking now is a little bit of this Jim Lee with this cape action, right? Alright, kind of flowing, also using it to help the composition, right? So what would help this composition right here? I could either make it like spiky, or I could just wrap it up. I think wrapping it up would be better. Alright, he's kind of leaning back, so I'm drawing through right now, just trying to figure out how I want to do that head. Alright, and if we look at Stan, like, it's very simple head, right? I kept it like that because I want it to be kind of deceiving in a way, right? From a distance, his silhouette would kind of read almost as like a, not necessarily good guy, but as a kind of chill dude. Till you get to meet him, and then he's crazy. Right, okay. I'll do that. Alright, wrap you around. I'm slowly finding it, right? Slowly finding it. Of course, on the camera, it's probably a little hard to see it all at the moment. I need to figure out a better lighting situation. Because in order to record this above head view, I'm basically in the middle of my studio at the moment. It almost looks like he's falling now. Maybe he's falling and he's reaching, right? Maybe we orient his head a little different. Maybe he's reaching, right? Right, he's looking up here. Right. I'm just letting the image speak to me. What does it feel like the sketch needs? Alright, not that double line on his chin area. That's a little scary. I just wanted to bring it out more. I'll cover that up. Alright, so he's kind of like pointing here. So to emphasize that, we'll just use the arm. Alright. And let's see here. Looking at my sketch so far of my like concept art of Stan, he kind of has this like gauntlet thing. I don't think I like that anymore. Alright, he's my character. I can do whatever I want with him. So what with his hand, the thumb would be there, or I could make the thumb there. Probably there would be a little bit better. Get the fingers. Alright, because we're kind of looking at like the bottom of his hand. Alright. Alright, so he's falling. I kind of want this to take up more of him. Alright, and this, if he's falling, I might just redo his legs. Alright, if he's falling, I could just like, alright, I could just put like a big old foot right here. Alright, you connect in. Boom. That doesn't feel right. Let's try it again. Alright, like if we're following the hips, right here, that's probably why, because I was breaking the leg. Alright. And what if you like, I looked a lot of like Dragon Ball and stuff over the years just to kind of understand foot placement for floating or falling people. And it's kind of just all about the angle of where you put the foot. So probably put you right here. Alright, what angle the foot down? I'll probably see up into it a little bit. Alright. So it almost feels like he's on his tippy toes leaning back at the moment. So maybe he's falling backwards. Alright, so I could like emphasize that by ground plane, putting his foot right there. Alright. Alright. Doing the same here. And it doesn't feel like there's any weight on either of them, which is kind of, I guess you could say preferred, since he's kind of falling backwards. Alright, I was going to put in his sword hand, but since he's falling, right, he's not necessarily in a attacking position. Maybe we just follow that action line right there. I don't want to do the same hand right here, so we'll probably like just not necessarily ball it up, but kind of like coil up the fingers, right? All right, so right now it kind of looks like crap. Looks messy, right? Which is okay, because that's we're in the loose part of the drawing. I want his fingers to be spread, but I've never drawn spread fingers, right? I'm giving him sausage fingers right now. Why has he got hot dogs for fingers? Alright. Alright, middle one is always a little bit bigger. That one's like that. And the thumb usually comes up about there. Alright, again, that's for a human, but Stan is a demon lord. He's not a human. So I can play around just a little bit. Alright, so if he is falling, I want to emphasize this motion a little bit. I don't think I want you to really come up on this foot, but you could come up on the leg. Alright, get that line. Alright, so I need to kind of erase again, kind of dropping that opacity layer. The trick for just doing it kind of lightly, at least what I found so far, if you know something better, please let me know. Just rolling up this kneaded eraser and kind of just rolling it. Alright. And it doesn't get everything, right? Sometimes you gotta go in and pick them out yourself. But it works for the most part. Alright, and I'll clean it up more as we develop. Now I want to think about lighting, right? If he's falling, I know I want this whole thing in shadow, right? This whole cape thing in shadow. Alright. Alright, and I know I want you in shadow, and that shadow can get up onto his head. I want to make his eyes just a little bit bigger. Alright, if he's falling, I kind of want him to feel a little bit more shocked. Alright, and I don't want to do too much shadowing on him. So, not on his face at least. Right here, probably be some shadows here. So I'm going to kind of assume light's coming like maybe it's coming above, but it's coming like this, right? So like this would be shadowed. Not all, but parts of his hand would be shadowed. Right? This all would be shadowed. You could probably put a rim light right here because this is the back torso. Probably deserving of a rim light. But I did get big graphic shapes. There's some pros, right? But this is the beauty of this 2-week fundamental little boot camp thingy. So this is where I ended up right now, right? In some areas I had no idea how I wanted to approach it. So over the next 2 weeks, again, I emphasize keep these like bite-sized studies, but with intention, right? So over the next 2 weeks, for me at least, I'm going to either be drawing from real life or from photos and figuring out how to simplify the shadows into one big shape. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, on that 14th day, I will redo a drawing of Stan, and I'll probably be changing the pose and stuff, right? So of course there'll be some change, and just the overall level of it. But regardless, the approach to the inking part is going to differ, right? It's going to change in these next 2 weeks. So we'll see how it is. And thank you all for sticking around for this long ass video. I hope you enjoyed some of it. I try to channel like just hanging out with a friend, trying to figure stuff out, right? I'm not necessarily trying to teach you guys this. I'm trying to learn it myself, right? So for those of you at my level or lower, we're trying to learn this together. For those of you who are better, help us out, you know? Drop a comment. You know, we could get something going where we bring back that love for each other and that we're all in this together type of thing. But alright, I'm out. I need to get some bed. I need to go to bed, y'all. It's pretty late. Peace.